Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome to another edition of Carolina Panthers Talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. So, just wanted to give an update for the Carolina Panthers as a trade has taken place today. The Carolina Panthers have traded wide receiver Robbie Anderson to the Arizona Cardinals. So let's take a look at exactly what this trade gives us. So let's see. We traded away Robbie Anderson, and the Carolina Panthers will receive a 2024 sixth round pick and a 2025 seventh round pick. So a sixth round pick in 2024 and a seventh round pick in 2025 for Robbie Anderson. Now, not really much that we got in return, which doesn't surprise me greatly. I didn't think we were going to really get much for him. I just felt like with how everything went down in the Rams game, leading to him getting ejected and sent to the locker room, it was inevitable that Robbie Anderson was going to be out of here. So, it was really a bummer. It was really bummer. Of course, what am I talking about? Of course, there was the sideline altercation between wide receivers coach Joe Daly and Robbie Anderson. Um, and the interesting thing, looking at the article, an interesting thing was Robbie Anderson was doing pregame warm-ups without a shirt, kind of sat away from everybody. Apparently there was two different sideline altercations between him and Joe Daly. Um, and then, of course, it eventually came down to Steve Wilkes making the move to eject Robbie Anderson to the back. And it was even bad to the point where, Robbie Anderson got in the coach's face. Especially Joe Daly got in his face. So I just wanted to give my overall thoughts on this. Now, the Arizona Cardinals get another weapon on offense. They got a receiver on offense, and I'll say this about Robbie Anderson. I'll say this. Now, keep in mind, I understand he was a deep threat. I understand he's definitely not the best wide receiver we've ever had on the team. Of course, absolutely. DJ Moore is still our guy. He's still, the better man. But at the same time, let's get one thing straight. Let's not sit here and act like Robbie Anderson didn't make a positive impact at some point during his time with the Carolina Panthers. He did not hit an 1,000-yard receiving season until he came to Carolina. Let's just point that out. His first year with Carolina, he had 95 catches, 1,096 yards, 3 touchdowns. And of course, quarterback was Teddy Bridgewater. So let's not sit here and act like he didn't make an impact at some point with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he did his first year. Let's keep it real. I mean, folks can say what they want about, his hands and whatnot, but let's not sit here and act like he didn't make an impact. Secondly, I understand the following year his production went down, but at the same time, you have to also factor in a decline in quarterback play as well. I mean, he went from having Teddy Bridgewater to having Sam Darnold, especially somebody who he's played with before. So, have to keep that in mind. Thirdly, I understand his frustrations. I do. I really do. But at the same time, and my good friend and partner, Mr. Carolina, as we discussed on the last stream, the way that he handled the situation was unprofessional. You don't get up in a coach's face. You do not do that. I get the frustration. You do not get in a coach's face. You don't do that. It don't matter. You don't do that. Um, Not to mention at the time that he did that, we were still in the game. Despite how things look, we were still in the game. And you can't do things like that with your team still in the game. So that's mainly my issue with Robbie Anderson there. But at the same time, I do understand his frustrations. I do. Especially in a game where PJ Walker didn't take but one deep shot downfield. One. All game. And finished 10 of 16, 60 yards. That is unacceptable. Yes, did we run the ball? Yeah, absolutely. We did. Kudos on that. But only 60 yards from PJ Walker. As a matter of fact, we had 110 total passing yards that entire game. And that's with a combination of Jacob Eason and PJ Walker. But PJ Walker is the starting quarterback, and he only had 60 yards passing. That is unacceptable. Now, as I said in the previous live stream, I really, really wanted to believe that Coach Steve Wilks did not sign off on this. But honestly, I'm starting to have second thoughts, y'all. I understand that Steve Wilks was put into this situation. There was no plan on this happening. And he was put into a very difficult situation. I totally get it. But at the same time, you got to realize, okay, you're the head coach as of now. You're the head coach. You're the guy. You've been put into this position for a reason. You got to enforce certain things. And I really felt like Steve Wilks didn't enforce what should be happening with the offense. Now, don't get me wrong. We're kind of in a really sticky situation with the offense. I mean, I know a lot of folks want to see Ben McAdoo gone. I get it. But then we have to think about who would take over the offensive play calling for the rest of the season if we let him go now. So that's the only reason why I feel like Ben McAdoo is probably going to be here the rest of the season until the end. And then he'll get let go. But there's got to be some sort of enforcement from the head coach. You can't be pleased with 10 of 16, 60 yards. You cannot be pleased with only 110 total passing yards. You just can't be. You can't be. Like, you can't be. 4.8 yards average a pass? Like, that can't be right. That can't be right. Like, I don't see how anybody could sign off on that. And like, and the tough thing about it, I feel for PJ. I feel for PJ because he took that nasty sack, got hitting helmet to helmet, concussion. So there's no telling when he'll be able to play. But it's like, I don't know if the coaching staff or whatnot were just afraid to see him throw deep. Like, Steve Wilkes, like, you gotta assert yourself. Like, you're the head coach right now. I just find it really difficult, like, for him to be okay with what went down, especially with no type of adjustments in the second half with that offense. Like, I understand how Robbie Anderson handled himself was unacceptable. Was not the right way to go about things. But can I 100% blame him? No. I honestly can't. I get the frustrations. I do. Just the way that he handled it was bad. You do not do that. You do not get in a coach's face. You don't do that. And do I understand why that could have led to him getting let go or traded away? Absolutely. Totally get it. Because you still have to be a professional as much as possible. I get and understand frustrations, but you have to keep your head in the game and you have to be a professional about it, which Robbie Anderson did not do. But I do understand the frustrations. I do. You would have to be crazy to think that there wasn't a legit reason for Robbie Anderson to react the way that he did, to be frustrated. To be frustrated. Let me emphasize that. To be frustrated. Just the actions weren't good. The actions weren't good. But I do 100% understand his frustrations. And if folks feel like he's wrong for feeling that way, I'm sorry, but I really have to question where you're coming from. Because you cannot sit there and say that you were able to accept a game plan where we ran the ball and didn't take any shots downfield. You cannot win games that way. I mean, look what happened. We didn't even get a single offensive touchdown. We got one field goal, which was our first drive. That was it. And then the pick six from Dante Jackson on defense. But the whole game, we couldn't get a single offensive touchdown. What does that say about the so-called game plan? I'm sorry, but even as a fan, I'm not okay with that. I don't think anybody should be okay with that. I mean, you don't take shots downfield. How are we going to get points on the board? How are we going to put ourselves in position to win? You cannot be a one-dimensional offense and expect to be successful. And it's destroying this team, especially on offense. And it's destroying the defense because the defense has to carry the load. And they get gassed out. So that's my whole thing. I mean, I wish the best for Robbie Anderson. I mean, maybe he could do a little something with Arizona, but I mean, it sucks how this came down. I understand why what happened, with the trade and all, but I totally get his frustrations. I do. Just the way that he handled them was the wrong way. Um, that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are on this. What did you think about the trade? Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals for a 2024 6th round pick and a 2025 7th round pick. Uh, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it was a good move? The picks that we got in return, do you feel those were reasonable or do you feel like we got fleeced? Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Um, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell while you're at it. And thank you so much for watching. For another Carolina Panthers talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the 2. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.